What's up, people? It's your man Black Cobra back once again with the Wheel Life Show. And you guys know what it is. There's only one topic to talk about today. And much like the award show with Will Smith and Chris Rock, there is nowhere else that you need to tune in but to right here on the Wheel Life Show. Now, you guys, look, we talk all about everything that has to do with wheels, electric unicycles, PEVs, personal electric vehicles of all types, but electric unicycles are our bread and butter. Those are our favorite. Let's be honest and let's be real. And when there is news, we try to share it. I love this community as usual because we come together when things happen, and this is definitely something that happened. So the comment section and all the buzz around this is wild. It's something that we have to discuss. That's for sure. I'm waiting for UStride. He's planning to jump in, and we're gonna have some a first-hand account, seeing as he was riding the S20 when it burst into flames. But until he gets here, we definitely want to bring in somebody else who is one of our resident experts on the topic of electric unicycles. The one and only, my man Sean. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
Hey, Black Cobra, how's it going?
Oh, man. Woo!
Quite the week we got.
Yes, quite the week. This has been probably the biggest news in EUC in the world of PEV, period. Probably the only thing bigger than this to me was maybe the announcements and the hype around the wheel. And now this fire has equaled that hype. So I know that you, my friend, have been dealing with it more than all of us because you've been fielding the questions, fielding the conversation, and talking to everybody. So I guess my question to you is, how do you feel right now?
Well, I thought I was going to have like a quiet weekend. I try to release video every other week, and this was like, my release weekend. So usually I get everything done, Friday, I get it up already and ready, so that I can just hit release, and then I can take the weekend off and just relax, right? So Saturday comes around, I was like, oh, let me hang out with, UStride, and he's going to ride it for a little bit. It'll be a nice, relaxing Saturday cruise. And then this happens. And then like from this point on is just basically like, it's just a madhouse. Like right away, like I knew that just everything just started to roll in. Like, what is Jason going to say? Like, what is freaking King Song going to say? What is everyone else out there that has like, like their pre-order, what are they going to say? And like, foremost, like, I mean, the fireman who showed up to put out this fire, I was just like, are you gonna write this down, and this is gonna go on the list of like, are you preparing to put together some kind of petition to ban us for good? Like, and I was asking him, I was like, does this happen a lot? He's like, yeah, all the time. We've been just doing this, and like he was completely like, they were completely unfazed by this fire. They're just like, yeah, it's happening all the time. We see this all the time. Just be glad that this didn't happen in your apartment. Is like, we dealt with that too, and it's ugly as hell.
Yeah.
So it's like that's the scary part, because like people say, like, they're like, oh, all you people who like the New Yorker that ride reckless in traffic and stuff. I personally think the government not going to care about that, because honestly, yes, it's dangerous, but the streets of New York is dangerous, and statistically, lots of like bicyclists, lots of pedestrians get wounded and unfortunately get killed in the streets, and the government unfortunately doesn't do a lot for it, because they're like, this happens, it's dangerous. But if there's a fire, that's a whole different thing, because you're talking about, this is a super very, very dense city. Everyone lives right next to each other. when you have a fire, you're talking about the potential of impacting hundreds of people's lives.
Yeah.
Like you're talking about like not just burning down like, you know, maybe the car in the street. You're talking about burning down like a house, like burning down an apartment. Like it's like the amount of damage a fire could do in a dense urban city is tremendous. Like that's the kind of stuff where the government's going to be like, no, this is too much. You guys are done.
Yeah, and that's the kind of thing that I mean, Sean and I talk about it all the time whenever we come together doing these kind of things, and it's one of those things that it's our biggest fear, because honestly, we do this, we put ourselves on the line with these wheels because we love what we're doing, and we're doing it because, like you said in your video, which I really appreciate that you put in there. You know, before I continue that thought, hold on. Let me bring in my man, UStride. What's up, buddy? So, like, one of the things that I was saying is that we do this because, you know, we're trying to, like you said, you're trying to suss out what's wrong, what could go wrong, where is the single point of failure, what is the thing that we need to fix on this wheel to make it the safest that it possibly can be. And even in doing that, my biggest fear is that we're gonna, like you said in the video, we're gonna end up like hoverboards where they ban you. You can't do this, you can't do that. And I'm like, no. I'm like, please don't let us get to that point. You know, that's the scary part for me. Is so when you were talking to the firemen, you know, look, you know, I'm in public service. I was like, this is gonna be bad. I was waiting for it too, and I was like, oh, okay, he's cool. And
yeah.
It didn't seem like a big deal, but he made it.
See, that's the scary thing. If he was like, oh my God, what is that? I never seen that before. That would be better, because that means this hasn't been happening. The problem that he was so calm about it, the problem that like he's just like, oh, this is happening every day. Like that's the problem. Like that's really bad. Like if this is happening every day, I'm sure they're gonna have some kind of way where they're tracking this, and someone up the chain are going to look at this and be just like, this is not acceptable. We gotta, you know, we gotta make a law next. We gotta bend this thing, because this is endangering the life of, you know, they're gonna think, oh, the constituents are gonna see these fires and they're gonna start blaming us if one of these burned down an apartment building. They're gonna say, oh, why isn't the city, you know, doing something about it? Like once they start to think that way, then it's over for us, because nobody gonna back us up. Nobody gonna say, oh, protect the freaking electric unicycle. They're gonna be like, what is that? You want to bend it? Go ahead. We don't care.
Yeah, not just what is that? Who are they?
Exactly. They're not gonna care if we get banned, because they don't know who we are. They're gonna be like, oh, those guy that rides around fast on the street. Oh, that look dangerous.
That can't be good.
Right, exactly. Like, that's the thing that scares me, because it's just like, I don't know if you remember, but like hoverboard was real big. Right?
Yes.
It got real popular real quick. Everyone was looking for one, and then it died like just overnight. It was just like done.
They killed it. The ban on it killed it instantly. And I mean, well, it didn't help that, you know, it doesn't go fast, can't go over bumps. Even pebbles can make it, you know, choke. But whatever. The bottom line is, when they banned it, it was like, oh, what is that, hoverboard? Oh, you can't have that here. I'm like, okay, calm down. It's not a hoverboard, and you know, but it is what it is. It's crazy. But let me recognize real quick, Bunny Slippers. Yeah, looks like you were first, brother. he's like first up. Yeah, he was first in here. Let's see. E Simon, what's up, man? 2358 military time. EUC Riders, what's up? Electric Unicycle Adventures. Malcontent Youth. Yeah, he just finished watching UStride's video. Yeah, I just watched it again. 1,600 hours there. Okay. What's up, peeps? Zoom Wheels Brian is in the house. What's up, Brian? Good to see you, buddy. He said, well done, UStride. Here, let me put that one up. He said, well done, UStride, for riding the S20 hard. Most old school riders ride like that. Yep. Yeah, you got to push it and see what it can do. So, what up, man? What's up? So the the S20 is so hot right now. That's not even right, man. You ain't right. You ain't right. Yo, listen to this. He said the S20 Phoenix. You ain't no good, man. You ain't right. Money Slipper said UStride is a real New York rider now, although he lives in Boston. All right, so yeah, I appreciate everybody forward and back. He rides in Australia. It's dry. Fire would be horrible. Yeah, well, you'd probably burn up half the forest over there. So, but anyway, before I continue, just want to say what's up, Tech Man. What's going on? So UStride. I want to hear me? Yeah, I can hear you. I wanted to give you credit for catching that. It's hello. How you doing? Hey, UStride, I wanted to give you credit for catching that pop when you did. Like that split second drop back and then you jumped off real quick. Like I was like, oh, he lucky. Yeah. You are so lucky because that could have ended badly. Like as we know, that could have ended really badly. And I saw you. I watched the when you replayed it over and over. I was like, oh, he's so lucky. So how did you feel?
Yeah. So thank you, Cobra, for introducing me. And Sean, thank you a ton. Thank you so much. I wasn't sure if you wanted me to ride it because it was a subscriber that said, hey, you should reach out to Sean and he will hopefully let you ride this wheel. And I was like, I don't know if I should ask Sean, you know, he might not let me. But I reached out to Sean and he did. He was like, sure, why not? So I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Booked the ticket and went down. Now, I'll tell you what, though. I like the background that he gave me before I jumped on the wheel because that's important. You don't know, it's not my wheel. Give me a background on it. And I got on it and I did my typical test, which is you ride the wheel slow, you feel it out. You know what I'm saying? Because a lot of people were saying it was top heavy. I was looking for that. I didn't feel that at all, which I'll release in a review coming up. But what was amazing to me was the tire. I think that's what gave me even more confidence was the tire was not as bad as I thought it would be. It's actually, my EXN tire is worse than this tire. So it was very maneuverable, this tire. So then I started ramping it up. And the acceleration was not horrible, but it wasn't what what you would expect from a Gotway. Nevertheless, the point is, I did a normal test. Ramp it up, brake. Ramp it up, brake. And then when I got on the main road, I ramped it up, tried to get as fast as I could with this thing. And then I started feeling the motor kind of like giving up a little bit. So I'm like, let me not try to cut out forward. Let me do some hard braking. Because I did that on all my other wheels. What you did was I did 2 hard brakings at the very end before the cutout. The first hard braking, I felt the motor slip. All that means is that I've reached the limit of the motor. You know what I'm saying? So don't go much farther or you'll cut out. Then within a few seconds, I did it again. And then it slipped again, but this time with a pop. And then after that pop, I remember my high-speed MSP popping. Dude, you're right about being fortunate because that wasn't even on my mind that it would pop. I was just thinking, worst case scenario, I'll cut out. But I never even imagined a pop, you know what I mean? And it was a distinct pop. And so after the pop, I fell off, obviously, tried to jump up as quick as I could, but I went down anyway. The wheel went on its side, and then you started seeing a jitter. It started jittering like crazy, and UC Vibes pointed it out too. It looked like the wheel was trying to spin, but we still didn't see any smoke. Correct me if I'm wrong, Sean. We still didn't see any smoke yet. And then later on, we started hearing seething. It started seething. And then after the seething, smoke. And then it's like brown, black smoke, dark smoke. It was smoke, but it was brownish. And then the boom. So the fire came steps after, you know what I mean? So I overheard Sean saying stuff, but I saw like Brian Zoom Wheels. He was saying if this had happened in London, it would have been the end for them. So a lot of people were saying,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so it's like it's interesting that it happened in New York, because Sean was also pointing out to me, in New York, dude, if you look at the video, the thing's going off, people are walking by,
nobody cares.
by. It's like, hey,
nobody cares. No. He said it.
Cares. Like,
he said it in his video. He put it on the screen. He's like, zero fucks given. I was like, they just don't care. I was like, wow.
Yeah, people just keep driving by. They're just like, I'm gonna be late to my party. Screw this. They're just they keep going. That's it.
The guy who parked next to you, you're like, you may not want to park here. He didn't care. He was like,
wow. And so it's like a lot of people are saying they're happy that it happened in those conditions, because New York, we know is out there. I don't know if it's conservative or liberal, but man, I just feel that place is free. You know what I mean? And they're not there. But I'm happy. I'm happy it happened. I'm happy it happened because for two reasons. One reason is that it was introduced as a performance wheel from Kingsong, considering the 124 volt. Number two, Kingsong is a very safe company. So for that to happen to them, it's good, because it's like, I feel like, now I don't want to jump to major conclusions and say this is something that they negated or neglected or anything. I don't know. But the point is, they have that reputation of being safe. So they need to earn that every single day. They cannot rest in their laurels and say, listen, they know us as safe. So we just released this beautiful looking device, but our components are subpar, but they won't notice because we're such a safe company. You see what I'm saying? So it's tests like this. Yeah. It's tests like this that should happen so that it holds them to the fire, if you will.
Yeah. I see what you did there. Listen, I agree 100%. They're known as a safer company, but at the same time, we have to look at the fact that anytime we're taking an advancement, and that's what we're trying to do, they're trying to push the upper limit. Gotway always does that, and that's why their wheels are normally known as performance wheels, because they're always trying to push the upper edge of limitations. And now Kingsong has kind of joined the fray when it comes to that upper edge. But you got to look at it as nothing comes without trial and error. So this is obviously some error. There's something going on in there that now they have to look at and try and figure out. The 126 volt, the fact that this is the first time that's been done, trying to push when it comes to power. And we know that they limited the power because it at 126 volts, there's no way you couldn't make it go faster, but they only let it go so fast because they're trying to make it safer, but still something is just not 100% right. So now they got to go back and figure that out. So I'm glad it happened before everybody got 1,000 of them out on the street, and now everybody's like, oh shit. So at least right now they can go back and look at what they got, and if they can figure out what it is and make an adjustment, they can make an adjustment on the rest that they're still creating. So I'm still hopeful, just so you guys understand. I'm still hopeful. The wheel community, stay hopeful. Just know that, this didn't happen, a year after release. This happened before all these wheels are out. There is the first batch is already on its way, but if they can come up with a fix for it, then they can just retrofit whatever they need to do on those wheels. So I don't think it's a huge disaster yet. Excuse me. And I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad you're okay. I'm glad that nobody suffered my same fate, and I'm glad that the wheel didn't burn down anybody's house or apartment building. So all in all, we got to count this still as a win. I think so.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like the thing that people have to understand, and it's a little bit hard for people to kind of hear this, but the New York City / e-wheel demo is very different from every other demo that you would get elsewhere. Because the thing is that samples, so traditionally the way it works is that, wheel companies send out these samples, and the point of the sample is to generate hype. They want the product in people's hand, and then for them to ride it and get excited about it, and then so that they will generate more sales. So for a lot of the other EUC like retailers that I talked to, they would send you the wheel. They said, and remember, they have to pay for this wheel. This is not a free wheel. They don't get a free sample wheel. They pay full price for it. So they pay for this wheel. They send it to you. They say, hey, Cobra, ride this wheel, but, don't screw it up. Like, they don't want you to kill the wheel, because if you do, they lose their money, and then the freaking company get pissed off at them. But the difference here is that Jason doesn't work that way. Right. Jason, he has the community's interest at heart. For him, he's like, I don't want this problem to happen when the wheels start to ship. Like, he gets the fact that if this had happened to the sample wheel, there's still a window of time where they can fix it, versus if this problem had gotten out to the public, gotten out into the production run, and now his customer are standing on the side of the road watching their $3,500 wheel burn down. The amount of crap he's going to get, the amount of craziness he's going to get will be like 10 times that. So he intentionally, he said, listen, do whatever you do. Like, and the thing you have to understand is that he's not asking us to destroy the wheel like willfully. No. We're not doing this. We're not just throwing it out of a window. We're riding it the way any like hardcore EUC rider will ride it. And if in the process of us doing that, a problem comes up, then it's identified and fixing the production run. Like, that's the whole point of why we do this. And this benefit the whole community. Like, and I have to say, like, whenever this is ignored, like when when we cut out the V12 and they died on us, Emotion stopped talking to me. They got mad. They're like, you kill our wheel. And man. And they still don't talk to me now. Whenever I asked them to see if I could, get a sample wheel. Like, I get nothing. Because they feel like I killed their wheel. But like, in my mind, I'm like, if you had listened to me and investigated why that wheel cut out, why the board died, there wouldn't be this cutout issue that come up in your production run. Right? Like, they ignore me, and then in the result is that the customers like suffer, and they end up paying more to fix, like, to do a recall. Yeah, and that's I mean, honestly, Jason has been a big friend to our community because of that. And I know Sean was just telling me before the show started that, when he called Jason, he was calling him to see, how he would respond. And he responded just like he just said, like, hey, this is good that it happened now, not later. So, this is what we want. So, now, well, let me rephrase that. Not that we want a fire ever. It's just that we want to figure out what could happen before it happens to everyone else. And, so I look at it like that, I'm sorry that it did happen. I really wish that it didn't have to, but I'm glad that it didn't happen in my basement or in my living room, or while I was out heartbreaking, because UStride didn't ride any. He was riding like we all ride. Like anybody that rides a wheel, that's what we do. On a regular basis, you push it and pull it and push it and pull it. That's part of the fun of riding these damn things. So watching him do it, I was like, because I just watched the video again, and I'm just like, I mean, I know you guys are the same way. When you watch one of each other's videos, when you get those up close views, you feel it again. I'm like, woo, like, like you out there on the wheel with them. And then all of a sudden, when you start pulling, I was like, oh, here's the part. And so when you went down, I was like, okay, he's not hurt. You can see that the wheel, you could see it just go, and it just let go. I was like, oh man, that's just scary. But it could be anybody on the wheel. The worst case scenario is if it was somebody's kid
or somebody's wife or some, you know what I mean? I just think of too many thoughts of what could have happened. So I'm just like, all right, okay, guys, this is the issue. Fix it.
Right.
So, you know.
So Cobra, you mind if I interrupt for a second?
Go.
So, and this is the beauty. This is the beauty with Kingsong, right? Kingsong is designed, in my opinion, for that tier rider. You notice I've never pushed. I have a 16X, and I've never even dreamed of pushing it like that because that's not what it was designed for. You know, I feel like there are two different types of riders: those who commute, those who, you know, do it for leisure, those who go off-roading just for fun. And then you have the extreme kind. I'm not even extreme compared to a lot of guys out there, to be honest. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm a safe extreme type guy. There are guys out there who will ride the wheel to cut it out, like Sean was telling me. You know what I'm saying? In New York. So, so the way if I can cut it out, dude, come on, dude. Like, you know. So it's important. I think, and E-Wheel started doing this a while back. They had all their wheels on their site just as in one page, in one section called Electric Unicycles. And then eventually they started having categories and subcategories. So they would have advanced wheels, and then they would have mid-level wheels and beginner wheels. I like that. That is really good marketing or good categorization to at least help new riders navigate through this maze of crazy amount of wheels out there. So I think Kingsong should, in my opinion, they should just, like you said, they don't have that experience with performance wheels, and to jump from 84 volt with the S18, to jump from that all the way to 126, as you stated, to me, it's not that they can't do it because they're an engineering company as well. It's just that they don't have the experience enough to do it safely. Now, Sensei Vegan mentioned something, and I'm going to give him credit for that. He mentioned in one of my lives that he feels Kingsong should have gradually upgraded the S18 instead of jumping to something. I'm not dismissing the S20. The S20 is a beautiful wheel, as you'll see in my review. The point is, like Sean said over there in New York, this should never have happened. You know, at worst, the motherboard should blow, a capacitor should blow, MOSFET should blow. You know what I mean? But not this. This should never happen. Even on regen, like a lot of people are mentioning in the comments, they're saying, hey, and I've never heard of this before. I've never heard of riding on full charge and braking and going and these wheels have been out for years, and we've done this several times. People have burned boards after boards, as Sean has shown in his videos. But I've never seen that. This is my first time seeing this. So,
well, what was somebody was asking, what was the battery level at the time? I didn't even think about that.
It was so I looked at the app before I rode, and it was what was it, Sean? It was full charge. I don't have a log. That's the problem. I don't have a log. That's the only problem. I wish I had a log, but yeah, it was completely full.
Okay, so so I guess that's what they were trying to say with the regenerative braking, that maybe it pushed it over the upper threshold. But even if that's a thing and that happened, the bottom line that needs to be addressed is what happens when capacity is pushed beyond. And that's obviously what happened here, most likely, whether it be for a spike, whether it be for regenerative braking, pushing it over the top edge, whatever. The bottom line is what happens in the wheel when this is reproduced by somebody else. This is what they need to address. If there's a spike, if there's some sort of voltage irregularity, something should blow, something should pop, but nothing should burn like that. So that's the key. There's a disconnect in the safety mechanism where they have usually been really good at that, and something happened. So they got to figure that out. And I don't know.
I think that's what was surprising.
Yeah,
I think that's what was surprising is that Sean, let me ask you a question, Sean. If they had, from your experience, if indeed they had a fuse, would this happen? If they had a fuse to, kind of like, prevent that from happening?
Yeah, they do have fuses. They have fuses on the controller. They have fuses on the BMS. So, I mean, they're all supposed to stop something like this happening because, again, this is the worst case scenario. It's never supposed to happen. There's like, layers of protection against this. And that's, again, that's so here's where I have to say that people have to be careful because, I am not an electrical engineer. And I as much as I talk about this sometimes, I really have no idea. I really don't know about electrical system design, and I can't tell you, what's the difference between 126 volt and 100 volt. Like, I get that one number is larger, and I know that there's supposed to be more power. I can, read on the web some basic explanation, but I'm not an engineer. And when I did talk to an engineer, the usual sense I get is that it's not that simple. That electrical systems are complicated. That's why there's you have to go to college to study this stuff, and it's not straightforward. So it's not, sometimes people look at it and they're like, oh, this fuse look a little bit small. There's probably a good reason why it was set up that way, and this is in some way, right? In some way, this is actually the fact that this happened was good because in the past, what would happen is that, E-Wheel or someone else would ask them a question and say, oh, why is this fuse so small? And the guy would give a long explanation on why, according to his calculation, that this system is supposed to work. But now that we have this happen, we put this in front of them and be like, obviously it doesn't. The wheel lit up. Look at it. Just look at it. Right? There's no question about it. And they have to go back and look at it and try to figure out what is wrong. Like, why did this happen?
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. The wheel lit up. This is not hypothetical. We're not talking about if the fuse will work or not. It did not.
And we normally are. That's the thing is we're normally talking in hypotheticals because we're like, well, what happens if this? What's your backup? Well, what's the failsafe? Well, now we know. Well, show us. Because we can show you what happens the other way when it doesn't work right. There's something wrong. So Mickey's in the chat. What's up, Mickey? Let's say what's up to Mickey, guys. So we got this. Thanks for the super chat, Mick. He says this was not firmware or software. It was a capacitor blown arc conductive battery cover. Then boom, right. That's exactly what it seemed clear that those fail safes, because like he just said, there's fuses in there. Well, capacitors usually blow. You know what I mean? Then the wheel don't burn.
That's consistent. What he said is very consistent with what I felt.
Yeah.
I heard something pop before the wheel went down, and there was no smoke, there was no fire prior to that.
But the question is,
crash.
what then? Like if the capacitor did blow, and then there was an arc, and the thing is, the separation between the two, the compartmentalization of the two, there's supposed to be some sort of, protective barrier so that the spark from that, the arc from that does not jump to the battery. And I thought because it was encased in that metal, aluminum, whatever it is, that it was protected from a spark or an arc from the motherboard or the capacitor, and I thought that was the whole idea, and I felt super safe because of that. Because every wheel that has it compartmentalized like that, like the Sherman, you're like, okay, there's a compartment for this, there's a compartment for that, so it can't jump over, so we're safe, we're good. And that's what it seemed like. But obviously, there's something there that allowed this to happen, and that's what they have to look at. Now, it may not be as huge a deal. It may be something that they could figure out quickly, but, it did happen, and the wheel was pushed enough. Now, you had a crash on it before, Sean, and then they were out there, but they were jumping it. Off-roading, which I love to do, is very taxing on the wheel, and it worked fine then. So what happened between then and then you riding it to allow this to happen? That's the question. I know it's sad that it burned up so bad because there's not a lot left for them to examine, But that's the real key they have to look at. What chain of events allowed this craziness to happen? Because the blown capacitor, the boom that you heard, that's normal. It's supposed to happen. But what happened after is damn sure ain't supposed to happen.
Yeah. So what I suggested to them is this. I like, and they have a few different theories, right? And I'm like, that's fine. But if, show like let's make this like scientifically based, right? If you have a theory, you say this caused the fire, then, like to make it happen. Like in a control environment, like run through the event and let's see if it will actually set the wheel on fire. Like don't put the full battery pack in there, put one cell in there. And if you say this thing, okay, this led to the wheel fire, then fine. Run through the whole process. You're King Song. You have the board. You have all the things. Run through the process. If it popped that single cell, then we know, okay, you found it because that process led to the cell popping, even with the fuse, even with all the stuff. So I think that's what they have to do. That is my suggestion. I don't know if it's possible, but that's what would make sense to me.
Hey, Sean.
Go ahead.
Sean, I have a question, Sean, just to piggyback off of what you said. So when the wheel, okay, so here's what happened. It popped, it crashed. While it was on its side, why was it shaking like that? Could that even be a root cause as well? Because now, if in fact it was trying to spin and then something prevented it from spinning, because I know when my high-speed MSP cut out because I popped the capacitor, I put the cables in the wrong polarity. And then when I connected it, the wheel started shaking like crazy. So I unplugged it. Do you think that shaking added to the possibility of something like a fire? Because I don't know, like combination of the capacitor blowing or some component blowing plus that shaking. I've never seen a wheel shake like that.
Like I seen that happen when a controller burned. But like in the end, this is what it is, right? There's this supposedly best-in-class BMS on this wheel. Like, it's huge. It's the size of the whole battery pack with multiple fuses, with individual cell tracking. That is supposed to be right between the controller and the battery. So if that BMS work and does what it's supposed to do, which is protecting the battery pack, that should be the fail-safe. Whatever come through the wheel from the controller, it should stop right at the BMS. The BMS should pop, every single fuse on that should go, but that should be it. The battery should not go up, should be protected. That should always be the case.
That seems to happen, like you said, if the capacitor is blown, now the motherboard is, whatever signal's being sent is all screwed up now. So the shaking is, the board can't figure out what the hell to do, so it's shaking. That has zero to do with the fire, because the fire is because an arc from the board reached the battery. And that should never happen. There's supposed to be some sort of something to stop that. It shouldn't arc enough to reach the battery. And if there is some sort of arc from it, it should be, there's either a barrier or the BMS is supposed to be designed to stop that from happening. Whatever the case is, but the violent shaking is usually once the board is blown, it can't figure out what to do. So it can't balance. It doesn't know what to do. It's like fried. That's when you know that it's fried, when it's all doing all kinds of funky shit. Okay, that's toast. But the fire after was like as soon as the smoke started coming, I said, "Oh, buddy!" Obviously I knew it was coming, but I was like, "Wow, this is bad, man. This is bad." So Wheelie Dope was saying, "Isn't it? It's typically a hall sensor issue, but whether it was the hall sensor, the capacitor, whatever it is, whatever blew in there, that part's supposed to happen." It's what came next that we're worried about, and they need to, like Sean said, and that was perfect. Reproduce it, do it again, and try to make it happen. And I don't know if they can, because I'm gonna be honest with you, what you were doing, UStride, although Mickey points out you have a history of over torquing wheels, buddy.
I know.
Yeah.
This is why it's unusual for me to see that happen because
Yeah.
the guy
But this,
I'm only used to Gotways. They can
yeah,
handle
but it's
it,
not
you know?
just you. It's not just you, Sean. When you did the demo day, they rode the hell out of the wheel. I was there. There's some guys were doing much harder riding than what you were doing. I saw guys doing shit on that wheel, and I was kind of shocked because I was like, the wheel's not tested just yet. So I was kind of blown away that people were riding it as hard as they were. I went behind some guys and I was like, okay, I'm glad it's him doing that and not me. I leaned on it, but I did it gradually because I didn't feel that it's tested yet. I felt enough that this wheel can handle me. So I leaned and leaned. I'm like, yeah. And then going over the bumps, I kind of just let it go. I didn't brake hard. I just kind of let it go. But I watched people ride that same wheel harder than you. Much harder than you did. So it's not that you were over torquing it or rode it too hard. Just in case people are thinking that, that is absolutely not it. I don't know what happened, but the day we rode that wheel, they were beating on it. They were killing it. I seen Michael Jackson leans go. I was like, you guys are crazy. That wheel, I heard it could cut out. I don't know if I want to do that, but they were. I mean, and then when it ultimately the battery ran down and then it started tilting back and then that was the end of the day, I was surprised that there wasn't more crashes or accidents on the wheel. So watching you do what you did, I'm like, yeah, but I don't see him doing anything more than I've seen others do.
But like the thing you have to realize is that like component works like wears out.
Yes.
Like I don't mean in the sense of physically like the wheel getting, like crash and what have you, but like fuses, components, like if you have consistent surge of huge current going through it, like
yep.
they weaken over time. So, and this is the thing, this is again like the thing that like unfortunately they can't do these kind of tests in China because they just don't have people that ride the way that people here in the US or especially in New York City do. Like people here ride their wheel really hard. So like the component has to be able to handle these repeated surge of huge current and be able to like hold up over time. And this is why, like, and honestly, like, even though you thought it was crazy, like I told everyone, I'm like, don't go crazy on this wheel. Don't kill it just yet. Because honestly, if you give the New York riders a wheel and say kill it, they're gonna kill it. There's nothing you can do about it. They're just gonna dip it a bunch of times and it's gonna pop the board and it's gone. Like it's just like a matter of like time. So, like so that's again like the problem is that they just can't test it the way we do. And we're not like surprised by the fact that the controller pop. It's the fact that the wheel burned. That's the biggest problem.
Right. Yeah. And you're 100% right. My question is, so how long you had it, Sean? What, 3 weeks? Something like that? Maybe.
No, it's probably like 4 weeks.
4 weeks.
I had it
okay.
like from the beginning, so.
Okay, so 4 weeks in, and now this happens. You know what I mean? That's where the issue is that something is, like you said, components wear out, something has worn down, or something has shifted, or something has happened to allow this to occur. Because it wasn't doing it before, the issues didn't happen before, and now the stress that it was put under purposely, because that's the point, put it through some stress, and now you see that it didn't work out over time. So now they got to open it back up and figure out, okay, well, what could we do better? So I mean that's the real key.
The only thing I can add to what you're saying is in addition to, because Panda did also mention that there's COVID over there and there's lockdowns, so less people are working, so you don't know how strong these components are put to. You don't know anything, right? So, but the only thing I can add is that with my torque MSP, I tried to cut that thing out braking because I cut out on my high-speed MSP braking.
Right.
and I couldn't get it to do it. I couldn't get the torque. And remember, my torque MSP is a pre-production wheel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's I asked Jason to give me that pre-production wheel because it performed so great. So I have that as a pre-production wheel. That's not even a production wheel, and it's been with me all these years, and I beat it up all the time. And the only thing I can say is that the only difference that probably your friends did not do during their testing is to push the motor to the point where it started slipping. Do you know what I mean by slipping?
The magnet slip.
So basically, I'm sorry?
The magnets that you can feel them slip when that happens.
Yeah,
it's like
exactly. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, exactly. So when you I did that at a hard acceleration, at hard acceleration, but not top speed, just hard acceleration, and then broke. The first time I felt it slip, like literally you could feel it slipping.
Mm-hmm.
You let go, it grabs itself again. Within a few seconds, did it again, it slipped again, and then it popped. So I'm wondering if that stress, if that was too much stress right there, or something over time wore out where it couldn't handle that stress. You see what I'm trying to say? It's like a fine line.
Yeah, I think it's over time because honestly, what you were doing, I saw way worse during demo day, way worse. Like I'm telling you, Stride, they were kicking that wheel's ass, and there were guys doing shit that had me holding my breath. I was like, oh! I literally thought they were going down. I was like, there's no way they're gonna make it. Oh shit. Okay, all right, the wheel can take it. Okay, the wheel can take it. And then this happened, and I'm like, oh, okay, well, I guess over time something wore out. Mickey says this whole convo is silly because you're all rational, and these OEM are not rational. Oh, we lost them. And I don't know if that's the case. I mean, whether it's the rationality of it makes, the bottom line is it is what it is. This happened. So, hey, Sean, you got a fire sack yet?
Well, so that's the thing, right? Like, this is the other reason why I would caution people from speculating too much unless you really are a electrical engineer and understand this problem in depth, because I am not an expert in electrical engineer, but I am an architect licensed. Mm-hmm. So I have a pretty good understanding of how fireproofing works, right? And all the people that says fire sack, and I built fireproof enclosure before, and looking at that thing, I'm just like, there's no way that thing is going to work. There's no way that it could.
Did you see it? Did you see them burn a wheel inside it?
I see it, but that's not how fire actually works. Because if you notice in the fire that happened to the S20, jets of fire, like flame, comes out, right? So you have a huge increase in pressure, and that is going to pop. First of all, it's going to pop any sack that it's just going to burst it right open like a balloon. And then after that, it's just going to burn and do whatever it wants to do because the sack is already popped. Like, if you really want a true fireproof enclosure, like, you need, you're talking about building like a giant cement wall. You need to have some way to let off pressure and all of that. Like, it's a complicated and very expensive things to do. It's not just getting a bag. And people spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to build fireproof enclosures. Like, if it's as simple as getting a sack, they would be happy to do that.
Well, but that if you watched the video that they burned the wheel, and it's in the bag, and they have two vents on either side. I don't know if the vents are enough to contain once but the wheel ignited, and while it was burning, it popped. And when it popped, the two vents that they had on the side blew open to allow the escape of that energy, and then still contain the fire. So whether it works or not, the wheel that they burned in it, it contained it. And he was saying how it looks like it wants to burn through, but it contained it. Don't know if it'll 100% work, but I know that it would be better to have it in that than nothing. I could probably say that, but that's just me saying it.
So here's the other thing, right? Like in the US, there's a UL standard for this kind of thing. Like there's a fireproofing code where, you know, product are tested. If you want to claim that your product will protect, you know, for 1 hour, for 2 hours, there's a test that you have to conduct. You can't just come out and say, oh, I'm selling a fireproof product. That's actually illegal. Like, so if they want to go and get their product tested, and if does pass it, then I'm wrong. Then I don't know what I'm talking about. But the test, like this control test, is what really matters. And like when I actually, you know, specify product for my work, that's what I look for. I look for the UL number. If you have the UL number, if it's a sheet of paper, I still buy it because it's tested. You know, so that's what it comes down to.
Well, I'm gonna be honest. I am with Ivanka Pimpkins here. I want an S20 Fire or not. I'm not gonna lie. I still want mine.
I mean, honestly, in my review that's coming out, you'll see that I like the wheel. The wheel's a great wheel. It actually performed better than I was expecting. It felt better than I was expected. The pads were better than I expected. I thought the pads weren't going to be great, except for when I tried jumping. Then I slipped. I kind of have to like grab the wheel to do it. The tire was great. The form factor was actually smaller than I thought. I mean, I was shocked. I kept telling Sean, I'm like, dude, this thing looks a lot more compact than I thought it was. So it surprised me in many ways. It's just that fire thing happened. I mean, look at me. I was riding and having a great time.
Yeah.
So
if Kingsong can't initiate safety technology, is it really possible to make our EUCs safe? Well, I mean, like I said, advancements. Kingsong has done a great job thus far with the wheels that they've put out, and people who have ridden them have known that they'll do certain amount. They're just not a high speed wheel. This was like I said, their first foray into the area of higher speed wheels. And I think, honestly, they did a hell of a job. But obviously it's not perfect, but we know the construction, where it's constructed, the liberality that they have over there, when it comes to what they can do, because you can't build shit like that here. You like you said, a UL rating. There's all kinds of regulations that we would just never have wheels, and if we did, they would cost $5,000 to start at the smallest wheel. You know, it wouldn't. We'd be done. You know, but we're allowed to get these wheels because they come from China, and they're allowed to do things that we're not allowed to do, and we can see that in the construction. So whatever happens, I just hope that they figure it out quick enough to not slow down my wheel.
But you know what? Like this is what I'm gonna say for Kingsong, right? Like this is the time when you can tell, like just like a friend, right? You can tell whether or not you really got a friend, not when you're like out hanging out, having fun, drinking beer. Like anyone could do that. You know whether or not you got a friend when you are like down your luck, things went wrong, and you need help. Then you know if that friend is going to be there for you. And this is also when you can tell if a company is really going to stand behind their product, right?
Yeah.
If they really strap down and look for a solution and make changes, then you know that they're safe.
Yeah.
Even though this happened, you know, but if they try to come up with some sorry excuse and say, oh, we think it's just, you know, some isolated incidents, we promise it's not going to happen, you know, please still buy our wheel, then it's going to mean nothing.
Right. And honestly, that's why I like the letter that they put out. Not saying that it was, you know, perfect, but the gist of it that I got was, hey, we realize there's a problem. We're working on it. We want to fix it. Let's go. I'm still on board with you. let's go. I'm still riding. I'm ride or die. Let's go. But that's because you're addressing it, you're identifying it, you're acknowledging it, and you're trying to fix it. So, like you said,
if this is not addressed properly, and like you said, I'm glad that they put out a statement right away. I mean, this was the biggest fire in EUC history, so it's a good thing that they did that because this was expected. It would be worse if they didn't do it. Then it's like, what are you doing? But what's interesting is in Motion and King Song, mostly King Song, for the most part has been like, I don't know, like the baseline for safety in our community. Now that that has happened, who's the baseline? Do you see what I'm saying?
right?
So it's like if we don't have an example of what a safe EUC is in this community, then damn, like, I mean, where are we going?
This is the thing. Like, everyone have to remember this. There is no safe brand. There's safe wheels, right? There's wheels that we tested and we know that it works, right? Like, is like veteran safe? Like, the Sherman was great. Like, everyone loved the Sherman. That worked out real well. But what happened to the Abrams? Why is it cutting out? Nobody knows.
Nobody knows,
like,
right?
Everyone is just like, oh, Sherman is like, it's freaking bulletproof. But remember, the new version, the Max coming out, has a different battery pack. So it's not the same. So is it bulletproof? I don't know. We don't know until we actually get to ride and test it, right?
Nope,
then,
we don't know.
After people ride it and abuse it and it still hold up, then we know it's good. That's the only way.
Yeah, and that's something that, hey, only time will tell. And I say that now even more than I would have said it before, because the wheel was getting its ass kicked and it held up perfectly. Then all of a sudden it didn't. So I'm like, well, shit.
To give it a pass like that, in my opinion, is not fair, because this is not the only wheel that's been destroyed in New York.
Nope. Nope. Yeah. No, hey, New York is a minefield. Like, like, you know what? Okay, when you're doing testing, right? You know how you do a test and you're like, okay, you pick up the wheel and bounce it, boing. Oh, wow, it feels so strong, right? New York is like taking a sledgehammer and hitting the wheel. It's like, can it really handle it?
At minimum, if it couldn't live up to those standards, then that wheel does not belong in New York or any. It should just stay in the category of mid-range wheels. But it doesn't look mid-range, and it doesn't.
No.
The 126 volts doesn't tell you it's mid-range. The 3,300 motor doesn't tell you this is a beginner's wheel. You see what I'm saying? So It's like you're forcing us to. You're literally marketing to our desires here. And so when we go to push it to our heart's content and this happened, it's like, dude, you did not pass the New York muster. You got to pass. That's how I see it now. If you can't pass New York, you can't pass the overheat hill, which I don't think he does anymore.
Yeah, no, he still does it. He still does it.
He still? Okay.
Yeah. But look, the wheel, Mike Leahy, he was putting something on the wheel. You know what I mean? One of the things that UStride, you said in your video, was about up hills, but they were putting it through the test. Wrong way.
I disagree. Did
you not see Wrong Way's video?
I did, but the way you okay, so I haven't seen all of Wrong Way's videos, but did he do a hill test like he did with the V11, or was it the V11, V12, where he goes up a concrete incline really, really slow?
Right, he was doing. It was a dirt hill though. It was a dirt hill that I was looking at recently.
It has to be like you know what I'm talking about? Like
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
A slow up incline. I know what you mean.
Like if you look at the Master.
Yeah.
That is what I expected from the King Song advertisement. I see a lot of downhills. I see a lot of jumps, but I don't see what they're doing with the Master. I did not see that with King Song. I'll just be honest. We didn't see that. We waited. Did you forget? Let's not have short memories here. It took them a long time to start testing that wheel. And when they did start testing it, they weren't testing the suspension. They were just riding it around smoothly, nicely, like sanitary. And then later on, after a couple of lives from you, me, other people, then we started seeing videos, all those short videos of off-roading. short. And then eventually we started seeing lengthier length. With the Master, they threw that thing down the mountain, up the mountain, like wherever. Like,
but
it didn't take long.
But the Master is now. This is, and Mickey was saying this with us too. I believe that's a culmination of other wheels. I don't believe that it was just the Master. The S20 whatever that just came, or 20S or whatever the hell it is. They've had a lot of wheels. They've put out about 1 million wheels in the last year. Like every one of those wheels was like a stage towards the Master. It seems like they were testing this. Okay, now let's test this. Okay, now let's adjust it and test
what's
this.
What's wrong with that? What's
Nothing.
wrong with that?
No.
That's their philosophy. It's working.
I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it.
At least they did something
that
led up to something great.
What I'm saying is the S20 did not have all those iterations in the public. They just came out with this wheel, and this is what they came out with. I think the Master just had a ramp up. You know what I mean? It was like all the prototypes that led up to it, and now they got what seems like it's going to be a great wheel. And I'm still saying seems like, because after this, nothing is a foregone conclusion. We have to test it.
I'm not concluding anything.
Yeah.
I'm just stating what I'm seeing.
Yeah, no, I feel the same way. When I saw the Master, I was like, ooh. Ooh. But same thing. I was like, you know what? I don't trust nothing.
That's back up for
Yeah. You know what? Listen, you know why? The Abrams. I am still in love with the look of the Abrams. I rode it at the S20 demo, and I'm like, I want the wheels so bad, but with the cutout issues, I ain't doing it. You know, and it broke my heart because I wanted it so bad, and I had to go. No, I'm not doing it.
You like off-roading. It has more than cutout issues. It has a lot of other issues.
Yes, I know. There's a lot of things that I keep seeing, and I'm like, you know, and I rode it at the demo, but because of the issues, I rode it lightly. You know what I mean? I didn't try to do anything because it wasn't a demo. This belonged to somebody there. And it's different cutting out or blowing up somebody's demo wheel than it is cutting out a wheel that somebody paid $3,500 for. I'm like, dude, I'm not going to mess up your wheel. I promise. And I rode it real soft, and I was like, ooh, this wheel is nice. It feels good. But I'm like, it's not worth the risk to me when you know that there's issues.
Do you think they will send another wheel to you for testing?
Oh, yeah, I think so.
Wait, which wheel? Are you saying the S20?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you kidding me? I mean, the only way, right? In my mind, the only way for this to, doesn't matter what they say, right? The only way for us to really be 100% sure is if they fix the issue and then they sent us an updated wheel.
Yep.
And then I put G on it and then say, you crank away.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
If you do what you did and then the wheel held up, then we got proof. Then hallelujah. We're good to go.
Right? Well, yeah, because think about it. There is no scientific way to go about it other than that.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no other fix. You can't tell me, hey, we fixed it. Okay, well, proof is in the pudding.
Exactly. We put Mr. S20 Killer on the S20 and see if we can kill it again.
The S20 Killer. Oh, man. Okay, real talk. He said, I'm not a one-wheel fan, but I haven't heard of any fireball situations. Yeah, but they go like 12 miles an hour. Come on, man. Come on, man.
That's true, real talk. They're not really stressed out.
No, look, I watched a one-wheel, and don't get me wrong, I love one-wheels. I don't want anybody to say, oh, he was snapping on. Look, I'm just saying, I watched a group of one-wheels, and I felt like they were going in slow motion. I was like, yeah. I said, I can't. I can't do that. There's just, could you do after riding what we ride? Could you see yourself?
I've been on a group ride with them, with Panda and the other guys in Boston, and it was tiresome. It was tiresome. I was nice. I liked it because I got to hang out with a completely different group.
Yeah.
But I think the most interesting thing was how long we waited at the water to charge. We waited pretty much the whole half of the day just charging.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
And it's because we're used to much higher capacities, much higher speeds. And when you take that away, it's a different experience. Now, if you just want to chill and float, one wheels are fantastic. If you just want to lay back
they have their lane. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. But
purpose.
I just don't think that lane is for most of us because
I gotta say I'm like 100% for one wheel, and it's because of this. Because every time I see a one wheeler, I'm just like, that is a future EUC owner right there.
Yeah,
it's just gonna take some time for him to see us passing them by and just be like, I think I can use a little bit more speed.
That's what happens all the time. I hear him go, David Puffer in Boston. David Puffer, this is for you, Dave. I don't see you in the comments yet, but he wasn't riding a one wheel actually. He was riding a board, and he was trying to keep up. He was always with us, but I was like, dude, get a wheel. Dude, get a wheel. Now he's got a wheel. He's like riding all the time. I told you. These wheels are addicting, man. Super addicting. I can't get enough. I don't know about you guys, but any nice day out, it's like drugs. I'm like looking outside going, I could be riding. Now, I don't get to ride every day. I know Mickey shares his ride to work all the time. And Sean, is that your primary mode of transportation?
I don't have a car. I don't have anything else. So
there you go.
That's how I get around.
So you ride every day. And see, so for you, I'm gonna be honest. I'm still jealous because I don't get to ride that often. And and when I do, I'm like, I start that euphoric feeling all over again. I'm like, oh, I love this.
Excuse me, guys.
Yeah, but I don't get it every day. So, okay, let's look. I've been popping up the comments here a little at a time. Also not a one-wheel fan, but they are having issues with the rollout of the GT. Lots of bugs, and that's made in America. Okay, fair point. I didn't see where you were going with that, but I hear you, Spartacus. I didn't know that. That wheel jerked for a few, then blew up. Yeah. The board was gone, and it was the wheel was just fucking confused. It didn't know what to do.
Yeah, like what it was doing is that like while it's jerking, it's also like doing like probably like how high power switching back and forth.
Yep.
So there's definitely a lot of current flowing through, but again, that's not unusual. That's usually what happened with controller that burns. It's the fact that it went from the controller to the battery. That's the problem.
Yeah. Well, speaking of future riders.
Yeah, you just got up.
Oh yeah. So we were talking in the comments. They just said that the one wheels having issues with their rollout. I guess their GT is having a lot of bugs and problems, and Spartacus was saying that, and that's made in America.
Ooh, yeah.
And I'm like, good point, I guess.
I mean, honestly, let's be honest. The technology came from Segway, right?
Not really, because
not
that
for the
EUC.
Yes. For the EUC.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's. I mean, maybe we should give the Chinese some credit because, dude, that is not a simple tech. It seems simple because it's battery, motor, control board, but I don't know, man.
Oh,
I've never seen anything like it.
They get mad credit. I give them credit all the time. I'm still amazed that we're able to do what we do.
Yeah.
on these wheels, you know. But you know, hey, so Tom,
Only because it's like I feel like I'm writing software. You know, it's like
yeah,
I'm literally writing software, and the components are there, and I feel like they're beckoning at the software. The software is demanding things, and the components better be able to handle it. You know what I'm saying? Versus the other way around. So it's like, I don't know. I feel like these things are not that simple because we put it through a lot of stress. If it was like a one-wheel device, like where they're just riding, you know, nice and smooth and simple. I mean, look, they're having issues. What we're doing with those crazy demands, and for them to be able to satisfy a wide range of types of riders and riding styles in different temperatures, different countries, holy smokes, dude.
mm-hmm.
I mean, come on, just think about it.
Yeah. So Tommy says he never charges his wheel to 100%. He leaves some overhead for overcharging.
No, never do that. No, that's a very bad idea.
Yeah. No, go ahead. Why?
No, because if you don't charge it to full, the battery balance when it's
At full.
So
Yep.
that means you never balance yourself. That is
Mhm.
really, really bad.
Mhm.
You're supposed to like fill it up once and then let it sit there for like overnight possibly because it takes a while to balance a set of battery. If you never charge it to full, bad idea. Do not do that.
Yep. Yeah, I was gonna say that has been put out there. I spoke to, you know, Daniel and Panda and everybody that deals with EUCs and BMS. Period. That is the one thing that, you know, is clear, that every wheel needs to balance out, and in order to allow it to do that, you got to let it charge. You really do. I get what you're saying, Tommy, but just realize that you are not letting your wheel do what it needs to do if you do that all the time. Stealth E-Rider says speculating doesn't help. Well, at this point, all we have is the little bit of evidence that we have and the idea that we're not just speculating what could have happened. We're throwing out ideas here, but the bottom line is we're saying it has to be addressed no matter what it is. None of us are experts. We're not claiming to be. We're not up here because we think we're experts. We're just saying that we ride a lot, we deal with a lot of wheels, and we talk to a lot of companies, and this is what is being said. This is being, you know, the letter that they put up, I was very happy with, like I said, and, you know, we're hoping that they handle it.
I wasn't happy with their answer saying that it was a software or a bug, because there's a comment, and I agree with that comment a lot. I don't know who made it, but I never believed 100% in firmware updates per se in terms of performance, because when you update firmware, you're updating with a limited space. So if your components are not optimized for performance, what are you optimizing? Unless it's like something that has nothing to do with performance. In other words, if you're going to push something to a certain limit where current is concerned, but your components are not tailored toward that optimization, what are you doing? You see what I'm saying?
Right. Well, the thing is that they are the firmware update is
a complete overhaul.
No, well, the firmware is like what did you just say a minute ago? You feel like you're writing software, right? And that's because you are. Like, the software controls the control board. Like, it is the thing that drives what you're writing. So to be able to rewrite it, it does literally make a lot of difference. Not saying that this has anything to do with software, because I believe, like I said, the problem is the arc that happened was allowed to catch the batteries on fire. Mm-hmm. That can't happen. It just can't happen. So that's go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, like, it's exactly that. It could never be software only. There always need to be some kind of hardware failsafe, because software could have bugs, but hardware is hardware. If you have a fuse, you have a fuse. Unless some guy put it in wrong and backward or something, it will always work. Like, it's just like it has a much less failure rate than software. Like, software gets changed all the time. So like, if they say, oh, this is the only like thing that's stopping the wheel from blowing up, then your design is wrong.
Yeah. So
I don't think it's that though.
No, Stealth E-Rider said that when Wrong Way disassembled the S20, he mentioned that the batteries were not even wrapped. Now, that's one thing I didn't see. I didn't see that video, so I didn't know that, and that's another thing. Like, should they have been wrapped? Is the enclosure?
You have a lot of riders out there riding with many X20, KS20s. I haven't seen any major issues.
Right. No. And that's the good thing, is that you also have to balance how many are there, how and how many issues we've had. This was a major issue because it was on Sean's channel. Yeah, he's got the biggest EUC channel, and everybody saw it. So it's a huge thing.
What I'm saying is, you have EVs from Canada who drove down to where? Oregon, and then did he go to California? He went to all these places. A lot of people rode. I don't know if I haven't seen any of them ride like New Yorkers. But the point is, there are lots of I don't think that. So I feel like they're older riders, which somehow I feel all exist in New York. The older riders tend to test wheels better, in my opinion, than newer riders, because newer riders don't have that history of destroying wheels. You see what I'm saying? And so I feel that's where the gap is. And so I fear that these companies are going to build more wheels based on the feedback of new riders who don't stress test wheels. Do you see what I'm saying? So if only a few of us complain about this problem, but the deposits are still the same, I mean, who's going to make the decision here? You see what do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
I don't think the deposit is going to be the same. I think there's a lot of cancellation over the weekend. I think there's a whole lot of cancellation. Like there's a whole lot of people who are saying, maybe I should get a Sherman Max, or maybe I should get a Master instead.
I started hearing people say they love their heroes.
that was a surprise, because because that wheel was dead on arrival. Like it was like we were like
revived that wheel.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, what? When they gave it to Kelly and Mike Leahy, and they had both wheels, and I was like, oh, they got smooth on it real quick, because they knew that wheel was not coming back to life if they didn't do something. So Kelly, props out to you. You put on the spandex, rode the wheel, and you guys did some jumps and some nice photography, and I appreciate all of it. Even more than that, they appreciate all of it, because I stopped hearing the hero even mentioned, and then all of a sudden I hear it again. Yeah, yeah, because I wanted the hero initially, and then when I heard the price, I'm like, never mind.
Right. And $4,000 for that thing for 1,800 watt hour. You're like, what?
They're like, they're on crack. They are smoking crack.
Half of that battery pack, man.
Yeah. And then they changed that, and then they put, then other wheels, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'm good then. I don't have to worry about that hero. And now it's like, oh, maybe. So, I don't know. So, Zoom Wheels is saying he's waiting on reviews on the Sherman Max. Me too. I guess that'll be the next test phase, right? So, maybe, Sean, you'll get that one soon?
We'll see. Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So actually, you didn't get to test the Abrams, right? Like extensively.
No, I didn't. We never got the e-wheel demo. It got stuck en route. It's still sitting in a warehouse somewhere in Kentucky.
Yeah.
And the government wouldn't release it. I guess they heard about the cutouts. So
they heard about what?
I guess they heard about the cutout issue. They're like, nah, it's not safe for this wheel to go.
Maybe that's it. I don't know. I know that that's a wheel that all the problems that came up, and it hasn't truly been truly tested, by everyone yet. So I'm like, man, there's already a ton of problems. That's an issue. So King Song S20 plus marshmallows. Awesome. That's messed up.
So
You guys,
Cobra and Sean, I just want to thank you guys so much for inviting me. I have to take
okay.
care of him.
Understood, man. Understood. Hey,
See you guys.
thanks a lot for jumping in, man. We appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Your first hand
Sean, thanks again,
account.
man. Thanks a ton.
Hey, we look
Sure.
forward to your final review, bro. I'm sure you'll put that out when you're all done.
Absolutely.
All right,
Absolutely.
we'll talk
Yep.
again. All
Bye,
right,
guys.
later, man.
Bye, Sean. Bye, Sean. Bye.
Bye.
All right.
See ya.
So, I know that there's a lot of testing to be done on all these wheels, and I hope they can. Like what happened to the Abrams, how that didn't come here. Like you didn't, there wasn't. I hope that's not a thing. Like, I hope they continue to do what they're doing and making sure that it's thoroughly tested. Because up until this happened, there was nothing to show that the S20 would ever do something like this. So without these testing and continued testing, we wouldn't know.
Yeah.
So,
See, that's the thing. Like, like it's not like I don't think we're saying that there's not like hardcore fast rider out west. It's just that in New York City, somehow we have a lot of them, and they
Yep.
all ride really hard. So
Mhm.
when we have a demo, they lined up, and it's just like one after another. Every single one of them pushed the wheel to the limit. So it's the frequency, is the number, and it's just like the wheel has to endure it all
Yep.
this time, and over periods of several weeks, it has to really last and hold up to the abuse, and that is really the test of it. It's kind of like Marty doing that long hill climb on Cutout Hill. It's exactly that.
Yeah, this is true. To go from Marty in the heat in the hill out there, then to go to New York and to go through the rigors and the push and the constant push and pull and the constant riding and switch off to this rider, switch off to that rider. That's another reason why I love demo days, because in one day, I feel like the wheel gets put through shit that it takes a month to put it through normally, all in one day. So it's a lot. And then it went to the off-road riders, and they put it through jumps and all kind of craziness there. And then it came back, and I guess that's where the point of failure. So They got to find it. So Lee Davis, thanks for the super chat, buddy. He says, I don't think it's a coincidence that the One Wheel by Future Motion is also having QA problems. Maybe decrease some quality already. Any electronics from China due to the the pandemic. Yeah, look, we know that it has an effect. There was a global effect, shortages and issues and whatever. But the bottom line is, who cares? You got to get it right.
It's not like they, and I don't want to make this because it's made in China, because remember, like everything, like an iPhone is made in China. Doesn't mean that it's made poorly.
Right.
It just has to be managed. It has to be developed. The right process has to be put in place. There has to be third party inspection, which is what like Jason brought up. Like, King Song is safety minded. We get that, but they're not experts on battery construction and inspection and certification. They're companies that are like, those companies should be made to actually do an inspection to make sure that what they design is right. Like, this is the process that a lot of the company here that develop product follows. They have their own team put together a design, and then they have that design vetted by outside experts just to double check their work to make sure that it's safe. Like, that's not an unusual thing, but these companies just have to learn to kind of follow this higher level of process, because they're now not building toys for little kids that does 10 miles an hour. This is a serious motorcycle grade thing.
Yeah, and that puts us at a I guess it's a sensitive spot, you know what I mean? Because it's definitely no longer just a toy and yes, it's a hobby, but a hobby that's high speed. This is a life and death hobby, put it that way. So I'm reminded by my family all the time. It is something that puts us in harm's way. Yes, I'm used to it. I do it for a living, but this is me doing it voluntarily for fun. And that's just what it is, you know? So they have to get it right because it's important, because we do put our lives on the line to test these wheels and ride them, and we ride them hard. Like, I don't care who you are, when you start riding and you the more you ride, the more you ride, the more you ride, the more brazen you get, the more brave you get, the more you take more risks because you've done it. It felt great and it worked. And then you do it again and again and again. So we have to be able to depend on these wheels. So I'm like I said, I'm happy it happened, that they have to take another double look. So just before it's finished, look again. Are you sure? So
Yeah, but the thing that like kind of like, you know, I wish they would kind of recognize is that like there's such an incredible opportunity in front of them, right? Like a few years ago, Ninebot was this tiny company that was making scooters that, you know, very few people care about. But like the people that ran Ninebot, they're like, we know this is going to be big. We know that the world is everybody's going to ride an electric scooter. So they're like, we're going to build up our like process. We're going to build our manufacturing capacity. We're going to build our ability to design reliable, you know, scooter that everyone could ride. And then like, we're going to build all this factory that make them cheap. Right. And now like, it's only been like, how many years has it been since like Bird and Lang, all these scooter company now they're like a multi-billion-dollar company because of it, because they saw the future and they prepared themselves to do it. And like everyone in this chat room, we all see it. We all know this is like, you once you ride an EUC, everything else is just like nothing else compares.
Nope.
You know, this, like, we all know so clearly that this is the future, but the company that actually make this doesn't seem to get it. They're still like, just, we'll just make this, it'll work, and then, you know, that's it. Like, they don't think like, okay, you know, 10 years from now, you know, like everybody will be riding one.
Right.
And this would be a $10 billion. No, they don't seem to think that way. And that's the frustrations.
Just like they have the Bird scooters for rental, we should have rental companies. Like, if we got to the point where we could make this that mainstream, we could easily push out the scooters. And this would be ridiculous, you know, because like we said, once you learn how to ride, it's a done deal. There's no turning back. You can't like, okay, get on something slower and be like, yeah, I'm good. No, you're still going to be craving what this can do. So Mickey says that Sean destroys every wheel. He says, don't send him wheels. Mickey, you need, that's messed up, man.
That's the problem. Unfortunately, I think a lot of the EUC companies are agreeing with Mick, because like they're like, when I talk to them, man, they avoid me like the plague. They're like, this guy's his problem. This guy's in trouble, you know?
Yeah, it is what it is, you know. So this guy says Hero, Master, EX20S, indeed, all seem related. Yeah, no doubt. It's like all different iterations of the same wheel to ultimately get to where they are now. Oh, wait, hold on. What do you got? UStride is wrong. Electric Dreams and King Song released videos of S20 climbing. I saw S20 climbing a mountain in China. Yeah, I saw the climbing. I saw that so far it had passed all kinds of tests. You know, but you know, it didn't ultimately survive, and we need to know why. That's the whole big thing, because it did. It was, in my eyes, it was done. The testing was like basically done. Like everybody did all kinds of tests, and I was like, we're good. So this was a big surprise to me. So, you know, but
there's definitely tests that we didn't see. Like, I know Kuji got a wheel, and I know he rode the crap out of it, and you know, so he tested it. Like, he didn't just do it once or twice; he did it multiple times. Yeah, you know, so like they definitely did their tests, and that's probably part of the reason why it was delayed. You know, but like again, it's just not the same, because nowhere else. Like, unfortunately, New York City is just in this weird spot where we have all these hardcore guys who can all ride the wheel really hard, and also we're in this situation where something like this happened, like this giant fire happens, and everyone just like, it's okay. That's just Tuesday.
Yeah, that was funny. I was like, wait, what? Like, no one cares.
Right. Like, I asked the fireman, I'm like, do I need to fill out a report or anything? He's like, no. I'm like, what do I do? What are you going to do with that bucket with a wheel in it? He's like, I'm just going to leave it there. You can do whatever you want with it. That
was funny.
Nothing. Yeah.
Yeah, that was funny. Like, because when you were talking with him, you were good because you were inquisitive, but you were like, I'm not trying to push it, but whoa, what are we doing? So Real Talk says the Hero might be the most underrated wheel of 2022. I don't know.
I would say that, like,
I don't know.
I feel like Gotway already kind of, I doubt that they're making more of it, like, right now. Why would they make more of it when
the Master
everyone wants the Master?
Yeah, it's like, it doesn't make sense to make that wheel with those specs when you have the Master. It doesn't make sense. But hey,
like, I think it's super clear to them now. Like, what they have to do is to go to 134 volt on all their wheels. That's what people want.
Yep.
Like, give us 134 volt EXN right there. Who wouldn't buy that, right?
Yeah. So Stealth E-Rider says that means that Sean will have to hit another e-bike 2 weeks prior to Jediah's turn to test it. See, now this is Bunny Slippers. I agree with you. He said the Hero wasn't underrated. It was overpriced. Yeah. That's damn sure.
That is very true.
They had lost their damn minds. I was like, what are you thinking? I was like, whatever you're on, it must be some good shit. Because that's no way. Oh, Livette, what's up? NYC Mom Wife Teacher says, one wheels are a death trap. They're just different. That's all. They're just different. The Hero's price was discounted. Yeah, I know. Go ahead. The Hero's price was discounted. I know it was discounted. They had no choice but to discount that damn wheel. There's no way people were paying $4,000 for that. It just didn't have the specs. No way. One wheels are disgusting. Don't go there, bro. They're just different. It's still a PEV, just different. That's all. What do you say? Hero doesn't have an eye-popping stats, but seems like a more solidly built wheel than usual Be-Code wheels, which is good for them. Well, different. They were on the way to the Master. I think that is really the biggest problem because the price came down. So that's great that the price came down, but I think they were on their way to the Master, and that was just a stepping stone. So I just don't foresee them continuing. I mean, unless they discount it so much that it's a lesser version, so it's more affordable, and then people might continue to do it, you know? Yeah, now it's $3,250. Yeah, well, I understand that. You got a Hero High Speed coming this Monday. Okay, well, you know, but we look forward to some videos from you, man. Post them up, share them up. We'll, you know, I know, like I said, I've seen a few recently. Hero's new 2,600 euro. Oh, now we're talking. But that's around the same price, though, right? Conversion. I don't know what the conversion of that is. Let's see. Group rides. So one wheel group rides, good speed for my kids who ride EUCs, nice and chill. Yes, that's a good example. That's when that kind of, it works for the group ride when you got, you know, those kind of vehicles in there when you want to slow down a little bit. You want to chill. That's the kind of ride that I expect out of a one wheel, you know, a one wheel group ride. How do you know much about, wait, what did he say? How do you know so much about drugs, Cobra? My job, brother, my job. that Mark Riviere video feature on Yuko by EVX's Fire. It was. Nikki, you did a hell of a job on that. That was great. Myself and I watched it today. That was really dope. Good job. I did a double feature, yours and Sean's. I was like, ooh. So I'm blowing through here all the comments real quick, just trying to get everybody in. So check out the video S20 Mark. Yep. Malcontent Youth, Mike in Tampa. What's up, Mike? So, all right. So, Sean, is there anything else you can think of that you want to share? Because honestly, having you here is perfect because I wanted to know how the conversation went. And you let us know that it was a positive conversation. Going forward, what are you looking forward to next?
Well, I mean, first of all, just be aware that, I mean, again, I don't know what the actual response is going to be. They're still working on it.
Right.
But they are, King Song is taking this very, very seriously. They, I had a brief conversation with them. They had a meeting first thing Monday. They call everybody in, and they call me up very quickly. And I don't want to say too much. I didn't really say a lot, anyway. But my impression is that they're taking this very, very, very seriously, as they should. But I think that's the right directions. So they're doing everything they can, and I, still feel good that they would do the right thing, and I hope that they would too. This is again a wheel that I had high hope for. It got a lot of interest. A lot of people like this was going to be their entry point. They got excited. Yeah. They wanted to come in, and I still hope that this wheel will work out. So
I think it will. I think it will. I do. I wish I would have remembered to say this while UStride was here. He's saying, yeah, it was UStride's kicks that were lit. Yo, the first thing I said when I went to Boston the first time and rode with him, I said, "What are you wearing?" And when you featured it in your video, I almost fucking fell out my chair because those shoes. He's like they were so comfortable. I'm like, no way. But he loves those shoes to ride. He really does. And I don't know. It just makes me laugh because I'm like, I can't see it. That's
the thing, though. Like every single little thing. Like I feel like everybody got their own favorite shoe that they used to ride. Mm-hmm. Like everybody, and it's completely different. Like I seen like steel toe boots. I see like thin sole skate sneakers. Like I see all kind of stuff. But like I feel like once you kind of get like comfortable with a pair, like that's it. That's it for life. That's what you ride always.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So Ron is saying what you said about the battery is true for the cheap BMS with passive balancing. We need an active balancing BMS. And I know there's a difference, and I hear what you're saying, but there are reasons, and I don't know what they are, but I know that every time I talk to somebody about the balancing and the batteries, we'd say that that's what we need, and it's not what we're getting. So, maybe the active would be better, but it seems that the passive balancing, if that's what you call it, is what every EUC seems to have. So,
I have an electric unicycle with active balancing.
Okay.
It's the Z10. It's my favorite wheel ever. This is why people complain. They're like, there's a ghost drain. Like that, if it just sit there, that wheel, it will drain 1% a week because it's actually balancing it when it's just sitting there off.
Yeah.
So like you always have to charge it occasionally or else it will drain itself down to zero because you have to keep monitoring the pack. So that's the penalty you pay for active monitoring, because now the thing never turns off. It's always monitoring.
Yeah, and Mickey says these wheels shouldn't balance at the top. They need to balance on the way up. That's a BMS issue. another thing that needs to be addressed in the BMS, and that's what people are calling for. I don't know the reason why it doesn't seem to be a thing or doesn't seem to be able to be done. I don't know enough about it, but I know that it's not, and I know that it's been mentioned by several people, and we're looking to see that kind of stuff. So for whatever reason, we haven't gotten it yet. So thermal runways can occur when the internal resistance of a cell builds up and raises the temperature of the cell 60 degrees Celsius, which ignites the electrolyte. You don't need an arc or a short. Okay, whatever happened, that it caused the fire in the battery. So that's what we need to fix. So you might be right, Ron. And I think you posted that you put up a video, and I didn't get a chance to watch it. But I know that the whole thing about any of that, the bottom line is the fire that happened can't happen. So however they look at it, I hope they figure it out quickly. So what did he say? Yo, there's no wheel to buy.
You can buy the King Sound 16X. That's
there you go.
Well, any wheel that has been around more than a year or two, it's pretty well known now. So
Yep. Oh, that's messed up. So RGW said everyone I know canceled their S20 and are going to pre-order the Master or the Sherman Max. So
go ahead.
No, you go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, so I mean, I made a video about the Master. I just as excited about the Master as anyone else. As a matter of fact, if you chat with me on Telegram, you see me change my name to 134 volt Sean, because 134 volt all the time. But the problem is that this is still, they may have changed their name, but I still call them Gotway because I know how Gotway usually operates, and I don't trust Gotway. And I feel like something is, I really hope that everything works out. I really do. I really hope that this is going to be the wheel that we all end up loving. But a part of me just man, it's Gotway. Don't trust it. Something is going to go wrong.
Look, I hate to say it, and I guess if we would have said it before UStride left, he would have had a battle for us because he's like a super Gotway fan, and hey, we all love what we love. I'm just a wheel fan. I love wheels. I do see the same thing. For whatever reason, I see Gotway and I go, I don't know. I just don't. I can't buy it yet. And I know, they're showing all these videos and stuff, and it looks great. But I just don't buy it yet. I don't know why.
The way I think of it is Gotway is that one friend you grew up with that just never had their life together ever since you left high school. And every few months you hear about the guy checking into rehab, and now he come back. He's like, "Listen, man, I'm cleaned up. Trust me. You can trust me this time. Let me watch your kids now." And you're just like, "I don't know, man. I don't know. Are you sure? Can I see something?"
Yeah.
You love it. You're like, you're my bro. I know you. We got along. We grew up together. But a part of you just I don't know, man. He just been through a lot.
Yeah. I 100% know where you're coming from, and I feel the same way. Now I look at what has happened, and between the fires that they have had, between the cutout that I had, the unexplained, between the control board failures, there's just been a lot, and I know part of it also is because they've put out a lot of wheels, and if you have more, there's bound to be more failures. So I get that, but because that there was multiple different issues, I stay concerned when I see their name, and I'm like, okay, might be great. Let's see.
So here's my question: did they ever? identify why your wheel cut out? It was never solved.
Never.
See, this
Never.
This is the
Wait.
problem with Gotway, man. Like,
not just not solved, not even addressed. Zero. I haven't not a word, not a hint, nothing. Have a good day. And I'm like, whoa.
right.
Like, really? Like, whoa, like, I got metal in here permanently. Come on, tell me something. Nothing, not, and I'm like, that's not cool. And I don't see that kind of thing happening with King Song. Not saying they're perfect, just saying that I don't think if it was a King Song wheel that failed on me like that, I know I would have had a conversation with them. I know it. And that's the biggest thing that bothers me about Gotway. You know? So, it is what it is. So, I think we've answered pretty much all of this. I think we've given them some food for thought, and we just stirred up a little bit. And that's all I really wanted to do, because I know people wanted to talk about it. I know that there's a bunch of comments I didn't get to here. Lee Davis, thank you, man. Appreciate the super chat. One fire within a forest preserve, and we are done. Yeah, man, I agree. Not just in a forest preserve, but I think that anywhere where there's a lot of damage, I think we might be in the same predicament as those, hoverboards, and that's what concerns me. Really concerns me.
And like, I wanted to also add, like, people said, oh, I am not a crazy rider like that. I don't, torque my wheel. Fine, but what happened if you're like in an emergency situation, right? Mm-hmm. You saw a kid running into a street, you have to emergency stop, and now the wheel bursts into fire. Like, that's, again, like that, you're making this even worse. So it's just like, this is an issue across the board that would impact everybody.
Yeah, and that's the whole point. He's so stupid. He said, "Can I have your job, Cobra, and your drugs?" Somebody had asked with the blue thing over my shoulder. Were you talking about my microphone? That's the only thing I can think of. I'm gonna put it back here. Someone asked me, "What's the blue thing over your right shoulder?" That's the Yeti. The official training grounds should be California and New York. Well, it basically is. So, I mean, until it goes to Overheat Hill and until it goes to New York, who trusts a wheel? You know what I mean? Tell me, who trusts a wheel that hasn't been at least to those two things? Nobody.
Right. And, people give us crap, but, like, Marty burns just as many wheels. He burned the original Sherman. Like, don't forget that, man.
Yeah, I know. It's sitting right here. So I don't know if you can. I don't see anything else that glaring out at me. I'm kind of skipping through, trying to get down to the bottom. So, all right, Sean, is there anything else you want to add? Because I think we're good, right?
No, that's it.
So we're at 1 hour and 50 minutes, which is good. V13. My man said, I wonder about the V13. So do I, man. I wonder what's going to happen with the V13, what it's going to have. They're promising big things. But again, even with that, we'll see.
Mick knows everything about it. He just wouldn't tell us because he's selfish.
Mickey, talk to us, Mickey. Stop holding all the details. Yeah, you'll spit out the jokes, spit out the details. I don't know if he's still here. He's probably gone. I don't know, but at any rate, guys, thank you everybody for tuning in again. Now I don't do these all the time anymore. I try to keep it to every other week or when something like this happens, just so that we can come together and have a conversation. But once again, Sean, my man, I thank you. I appreciate you for coming and giving all your information. I definitely wish I had come to New York again. That was my plan, was to come pick it up. But if that wasn't going to happen, I wish I had been able to come back again, because I wanted to ride after everybody went nuts. There was just so many people there. I was like, I'm going to come back and do it again and ride some more. So I was hoping to do that. That didn't happen, but it is what it is. I'm hoping on the next one, I'll try to, the next wheel that you get, I'm going to try and come at least 2 or 3 times so that I can try and put my heavy ass to work on these wheels. Because I'm glad that this happened, because that's why I try to do it. I try to push my weight because I'm heavier, and I want to see if these wheels can handle it. And I like, okay, everybody's beat it up. Okay, now let me beat it up a little. I do like that we found out over time there can be an issue. So I want to do that a little bit more, even with heavier people like me. So I will talk to you again, brother. You stay safe. Keep talking to those companies, no matter what. Whether they're talking back or not, they'll come around, bro. All right. You have a good night, man. To you guys out there, thank you again for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one. Till then, keep riding and keep it real. Deuces.